yourself.
Hey, Ivan, how are you?
Hey, you know each other.
Hello, everyone else.
Hey. Make yourself comfortable. Tell us what you've been doing since we last saw you.
Oh, what I've been doing.
Okay.
I have a loud voice microphone. No,
Wow, that's why we put it up there to begin with, really. So we're so close.
the last thing I need is a microphone. What I've been doing since you last seen me, working with Landis Graham French still, doing primarily civil litigation, family law. Probably everyone knows by now on Friday I filed my paperwork to run for circuit judge in the case against Stasia Warren. So I am pursuing every avenue possible to be a circuit judge because that's how much I really want to be a circuit judge, and I feel like I'm qualified for the position. I mean, you all know I have the experience. I have been started out as a prosecutor, criminal law experience. I went to the Department of Revenue. I practiced with their sales tax division in administrative law. I came back for a job with Smith & Perkins to Volusia County. I was a civil litigator and a family law litigator with the firm there, and then I've moved on to Landis Graham French over in DeLand, where I continue to do civil litigation, family law, and now I'm also venturing out into probate litigation, which is quite interesting and quite intellectually challenging. So that's what I've been doing primarily since last we spoke.
And so tell us why you think of all the people on this list, you are the most qualified.
I feel I'm the most qualified of all the persons on the list because of not only my experience, but also because I have the passion to learn the law, apply the law, and keep growing with the law throughout my career. It's a hard thing to describe, but you get this internal feeling that there's more to the law and that you want to bring more to the table as an attorney. And that's the thing that really, I think, puts me above everyone else, is that I have the passion and desire to be a judge. In that, I also have what I think is the demeanor to be a judge. I am somewhat overly humble at times. It could be my upbringing, it could be whatever. I grew up in Holly Hill, which is a poorer side of Volusia County. Went through the public schools. Always tried to do well, but if you do well in those school systems, I don't know if anybody else has had the problem with bullying. There's a lot of bullying if you do well. So you have to develop a flexible personality that you have to be able to understand where you are, your situation, and to not use how much more you know than your fellow student to get along and to adapt yourself. That has been with me all the way through from when I was very young to when I went through college, put myself through law school, all of those types of things. I have always earned where I am, and that has always given me the perspective to appreciate where I am and a personality that is not going to assume that they are entitled to something or that they should not respect others and where they are and what their journey is.
Is it just you and Stasia Warren in the race so far?
It is so far. It is so far.
Which seat is that? Who currently occupies?
That's Group 4. That's Judge Marriott's seat.
Okay.
I would, please don't be offended me saying this, I think I would agree with you saying that you are not necessarily a salesperson of yourself, or that's not your personality. Because the more I have gotten to know you and see you, the more I appreciate your strengths and have enjoyed getting to know you. And I don't know exactly how to make that shine to us and to the governor's office. And so were you to go up, there's a lot of politicking and people meeting that you would need to do. You know, how would you work on that and turn that into a strength for yourself?
It's so funny. I'm trying to be much more candid than I have been and more open. But I'll tell you, it's not like self-help books, but recently I read Lean In and Quiet. And I was at a VFAL meeting and everyone was suggesting that those types of perspective changers really help. And you know, when you just fade into the back and you work hard and you try to say, okay, I've worked hard and everybody should notice how hard I've worked, it just doesn't happen. And you really do have to step outside of yourself, push yourself, and bring yourself forward. And I've really made that change probably in the last year or so, where I've just been trying to be less of an introvert, more of an extrovert, and reaching out and asking people to help instead of being that independent person that's just like, I can do this myself, I'll get this done myself, and everybody will notice me. It doesn't work that way. So, that's some of the things I've started doing, and I think it's actually helped quite a bit, even in my practice, because now I'm having a lot more success reaching out to opposing counsels and those sorts of things, whereas before I would just kind of, look, I worked really hard, here's the motion, and let's understand my position. And it's really, that's how I would say I promote myself going forward.
I think your friend Judge Weston was that way. What have you learned from her experience or other judges that you watched and admired on the bench? What have you learned about being a judge from them?
One of the things I've learned from watching, for instance, my friend Judge Weston, is it is, you have to be the master of your own destiny, and take what you have and apply it and redouble your efforts to make sure that everybody knows that you've done certain things and that you've accomplished certain things. And that doesn't mean that I walk up to everybody and tell them, hey, I've done this, that, or the other this week. It's more of just engaging people, being engaged, and making sure that you are present with what's going on in the moment. And, with Judge Weston, it is always amazing how much she can accomplish in a 24-hour day. And, probably everyone knows she's the one that actually hired me at Smith Perkins, because Judge Hood actually said, don't ever hire anyone that worked at the government. They don't have any experience whatsoever that's useful in civil litigation. But she recognized sort of a kindred soul, and we got a lot accomplished when we worked together at that firm. And we were able to work very well together because our personalities are very similar.
What else?
So, I know in family law, there's a lot of times where you have a lot of pro se litigants in court. How would you deal with that, with them presenting evidence? What rules, would you apply the same rules to them as you do to others?
It's a very, with pro ses, you have to, and it's almost like in family law when you talk with your clients. You have to be able to translate to them what is going on and make sure that they understand the process and what they need to accomplish. One of the things that I find frustrating as an attorney sometimes is, though, a judge will overcompensate for a pro se. You have to find that balance, and a lot of times that does result in you not counseling them from the bench, but making sure that they understand the process and what's going on, and that you talk to them so that they do understand. I've had clients where I've gone to court, handled everything, thought they understood the whole process, but they got to court and they just basically kind of shut down because they were so intimidated by the process that when we left I had to re-explain it to them. And that was one of those situations where I really, it was a learning moment for me, because it was about 10 years ago this happened, that even though you've prepped someone and they thought they understood the process, when they got before the judge, a lot of times they are intimidated so much by the process that they are mentally shutting down. So I think as a judge, you have to be able to make sure that the person understands you and that you help them through the process, but don't cross that line of actually, counseling them from the bench.
Sebrina, thanks.
Oh,
You know our process. We'll reach out to you this afternoon, okay?
All right, I appreciate it. Thank you for all your time.